Today we're looking at 0.53 acres of land for sale in Washington County, Florida. And in this video, I'll go over the top things that will help you determine whether this property will work for you based on my experience selling almost 700 parcels of land. So let's get started with number one, location. This property is in Washington County, which is the Florida Panhandle. It is in between Tallahassee and Pensacola. And it is about 45 minutes away from Panama City and the Panama City beaches. In the nearby vicinity, you'll see that there is a river just to the west, a couple water management areas for outdoor recreation, and a number of amenities. So this has a feel of a little bit more of like an exurb community. So there's definitely development in the area. In fact, there's a Dollar General just 5 minutes away. The main road is here, just 2 minutes away. On that road, you'll find restaurants, markets, as you can see here. But I say exurb because you can see that the surrounding area is residential. There are homes here, but it's still fairly lightly developed. So you're going to get a lot of privacy, a lot of greenery, and more space between neighbors. So as I always like to say with these properties, this is a place for someone who is, as one buyer said, looking for a spot where the neighbors aren't going to yell at you every time your dog barks. Also note that there's a lake very close nearby. So let's take a look at what the property looks like. So here is on-the-ground footage. You can see it's fronted by an improved road. Yes, the road does maybe need a little bit of work, but it should be accessible by any kind of car. And yeah, you can see here the surrounding area, there's the lake in the background. The surrounding area is very green. There is still a lot of space between you and your neighbors, although there are homes, as you can see back there. There are power lines in the nearby vicinity, although they will need to be extended a little bit. I'll cover that in a minute. And there are not homes to either side of you as well. So that's I think a big draw for a property like this. Right, here's another footage. There's a home back here. Okay. So that is what the property looks like. As I mentioned, in the surrounding area, you do have very close access to a market. And I should preface this by saying, again, this property is for someone who's looking for an affordable lot where you get privacy, a little more space, and kind of more of a relaxed area where you can kind of do what you want, be out of the way. It's not necessarily for someone who's looking for a lot that has all public utilities available or who's looking for a lot in a major metropolitan area. But I'm going to go back to the location here because I will say this lot does kind of give you a good in-between area in the sense that you are far enough away from a major city that you do get that space privacy, a little more of the greenery, a little more of the out of the way feel, but there's still plenty of amenities nearby. So we covered the grocery store. But another big thing I get asked about is medical care. So there is a hospital up here in Chipley, which is about 25 minutes away. And there are more hospitals in Panama City down here. Panama City is about 45 minutes away. Okay. Now, number 2 in the list of things that you should know to determine whether the property will work for you or not is, of course, what can you do with the lot? So I will start by saying this property is not in an HOA, so there are no additional layers of private restrictions that are going to get in the way of you using the property the way you would like. That also means no HOA dues. But this county does have zoning, as many counties do. So I will be upfront. This property is not for someone who's looking for a mobile home lot or a place to park your RV because neither of those uses are allowed according to our research. But we can pull up the zoning code to see a little bit more about what you can do with this property. So this property is in the Sunny Hills Mixed Use District. And mixed use means that both commercial and residential uses are allowed. So we can see quickly here from the zoning ordinance that P means permitted. So these are the uses that are generally allowed in the zoning designation. And accessory dwelling units would be permitted. So would outdoor recreation. So this lot could, that's with, what's SE? I think that's a special use permit. Stuff like that. But if you reach out to the county, you can confirm what you're allowed to do as far as recreation. But anyways, as I was going to say, this lot then could be someone who's looking for an affordable investment lot, a recreational property, or to build a single family home. As I was mentioning, though, commercial uses are allowed as well. Given the location, I'm not sure if that's going to be the primary use you might want to use this property for, but I will note that, as you can see here, there are a lot of commercial uses that are permitted in this particular zoning designation. And you can always give the county a call if you are thinking of a commercial use to confirm that what you would like to do is allowed. And of course, single family homes are allowed as well. So I did say mobile homes aren't allowed, but a regular stick-built home would be fine. Okay. Now, in terms of utilities, if we're talking about building, I did mention that power would need to be extended. According to our research, it is about 180 meters from the property. Again, you can always call the county to confirm this distance and what you would need to do to connect power to the property. This is also an area where, according to our research, public water is available for connection, so that's good. You wouldn't need to drill a well here. And a septic system would need to be installed, which is pretty common on rural lots. You will likely need to do a perk test in order to get that installed. And in a second, I will cover some initial research on soil types. So you can think about that if you do need to install a septic system. Now, I did mention, so high level, what you can do on this property, potentially commercial uses, single family homes, not mobile homes, not RVs, most likely some recreational uses. I would confirm that with the county though. And if you were looking for an investment property, if that's your primary purpose for this lot, I will say that the annual taxes are very low. They're only $116, so that makes this very feasible to hold for the long term without having lots of ongoing operational costs. All right, so let's talk about a few other things. I did mention soil. Another big thing you would want to know about in Florida is whether a property is in a special hazard flood zone. So I will cover those items right now. So I pulled up the property here. Let's save the boundaries. Okay. And I will go down through some. This is our due diligence software. It does cover a number of important items, so I will go down one by one here. So first of all, there's no recorded or no documented, at least at a federal level, conservation easement on the property. It's a good sign because that can limit development. In terms of terrain, it does have a slight slope. You can see here at the road, it's approximately 150 feet, and it does slope down to about 120 here in the back. Okay. But not too bad. Fairly good terrain. And it is not in a special hazard flood zone, so that's very important in Florida. Many lots are in special hazard flood zones. Now, this is not to say that you can't use or build on a property in a special hazard flood zone, but there are some extra layers you have to worry about, including flood insurance and elevating the home. So that's not a concern here. In terms of soils, so I was talking about the perk test. Now, if you did want to install a septic system, you would want to have a perk test done in order to pull that permit eventually around the time that you're going to build. But one thing that we always do with our research before buying a property is to check whether the soil, the soil that covers most of the property, is also found on neighboring lots that have homes on them. Because if that's the case, it does mean that properties that had a similar soil type were able to get septic systems installed, and that's a very good sign for septic feasibility. Right, so here's the soil type. It's this green color, and you can see it's pretty much the same soil type as the whole area, and there are homes that have been built on this soil type. So that's a good sign. Another thing I just like to point out when it comes to perk tests and septic systems, just as a general rule or point of a useful piece of information, is you can have properties that fail a perk test. So that means the soil wouldn't be suitable for a conventional septic system, but you would still, in many cases, be able to build. There are many different kinds of alternative systems that can be used. In most cases, there is some system that'll work with the particular kind of soil that's on your lot. It'll just be more expensive. So that's one thing to keep in mind as you're looking at properties. Right. And the last thing I want to call out is that there are no wetlands on this property. Again, another important point, because wetlands can really impact, whether you can build on the property or not. Right. And the last thing I want to just pull up, since we were talking about the area, I pulled up this property on Niche just for some general points of information about the surrounding area. So this is a fairly solid neighborhood. According to the Niche score here, you see it has pretty decent, kind of above average schools, and it's got pretty decent ratings as good for family. So this is kind of a solid, above average area in Florida from a public school, good for family perspective. All right. So that will bring us to the question of price and financing, as, of course, another very important factor on whether a property will work for you or not. But before I get into that, I did want to introduce myself quickly. So my name's Erica. I have a company that sells vacant land. Our company's mission is to help people across the country become landowners and build their own version of the American dream. And we've helped close to 700 people become landowners. You can find all of our properties at land.gocap.com. As you can see, we do work throughout the entire US. So if you're interested in other states, you can check out some of our properties in other states. We do also have a lot of properties in Florida. So if you're thinking this one might not work, we have a lot of other options as well. The other thing I want to mention is that I'm not a real estate agent. No one in my company is a real estate agent. We only sell properties that our company owns. So that does mean, first of all, that we tend to be able to offer prices that are a little bit below market because we're cutting out some of the middlemen. But more importantly, we are able to offer owner financing on all of our properties to help make them more affordable for you. So let's cover price and owner financing as we're talking about that. So we do have this property priced at $17,997 right now. Again, it is half an acre, a little over half an acre, 0.53 acres. And we, as I said, we do offer owner financing. Now, you're not going to see set owner financing terms on our website, and that is because we do like to tailor our owner financing terms to meet the needs of each individual buyer. So if you are interested in owner financing, I always recommend reaching out to us to let us know what kind of monthly payment and down payment will work for your budget, and we'll come up with terms that make the property as affordable for you as possible. I do, though, want to be upfront about two owner financing terms, or characteristics, I guess you could say. The first is that the higher the down payment, the lower the interest rate. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about your budget. The second is we do say there's no building on or living on the property until the end of the loan term. This is for liability reasons, but you can use the property for recreational purposes as long as you're in compliance with all local rules and regulations. And you can usually make minor improvements. So these are things like fencing, clearing, grading, generally things that don't require a permit. So if there are a few things you're thinking you would like to do to get the property ready while you're financing it, just let us know when you give us a call and we'll work with you. The other thing I like to mention is that there is no prepayment penalty when you're doing owner financing, so you can always pay off the loan early, get started building, and save on interest. In fact, if you pay off early enough, we will give you cash back. So if you pay off in 6 months, you'll get 5% cash back on the purchase price. And if you pay off in 12 months, you'll get 2.5% cash back on the purchase price. Now, another thing that I had heard from a lot of, in particular, first-time land buyers was that there's a lot of concern that vacant land can be a little bit complicated to do your due diligence on. So a number of buyers had mentioned to me that they were concerned that they might buy a property and then end up finding later that it doesn't work for them. To solve for this concern, we did create a 300... Oh, hi, Zaphael. I have to give you the air horn. Yeah, maybe we'll try it one day just for fun. But yes, as I was saying, on the 365-day exchange guarantee. So this guarantee is what we created to try and solve for that concern around maybe missing something in due diligence. We see it as kind of like GPS with owner financing. So just like your GPS system reroutes you if you take a wrong turn, if you happen to buy a property that you find later doesn't work for you, we can always reroute you to a different property. So in that first year, if you want to switch properties, or maybe like another property comes into our inventory and it's absolutely perfect for you, you can use this as well. All you have to do is pay another doc fee, and we can transfer over all of the principal you'd paid toward the first property to a new property. And this way, you know you can get the property that works best for you. Another thing that we created to help, well, all land buyers, but in particular first-time land buyers, is our Landowner Success Bundle. So it's a set of nine free bonuses that are designed to help you get the most out of your land. And these include exclusive offers with mobile home manufacturers and dealers, monthly landowner Q&A calls with me. So you can always join these calls and get one-on-one or small group support with any questions you might have once you own the property. You also get a complimentary vacation voucher that's valid for a 3-night hotel stay in one of over 50 global locations, a hotel savings card that does have a $500 value you can use to buy down hotel stays throughout the U.S., and these two are designed to help offset the cost of moving to a new place or visiting the property, or maybe just a vacation to celebrate land ownership. You can also request a free 30-minute architectural consultation with me because I do have a background in architecture. So if you're thinking about building, we can go over next steps and things to think about and watch out for. You'll also get a homesteading guide and a building and zoning guide. These are both about 100 pages, and they cover all the things we believe you should know based on our experience if you want to homestead or build. And you do get a post-closing checklist and neighbor lookup tutorial as well. So all of those bonuses do come free with every purchase. You get them once the deed's recorded. That's either upfront with a cash sale or at the end of the loan term with owner financing. All right, so if you are interested in this property, I do recommend doing two things. So the first would be to hold the property. And I do say this because our properties tend to go quickly and we can't guarantee availability. In fact, sometimes buyers in the past had gotten upset because they wanted to take time to do their due diligence, but by the time they'd gone to visit the property, it was already sold. So that's why we created this hold. Basically, for $50, you can hold the property for 2 days, and you can hold for up to 8 days at a time. When you hold the property, it takes it off market while you call the county, call us, go to visit the property, do everything you need to do to get comfortable with the lot. And the hold fee will be applied to the purchase price when you move forward. In fact, it'll be applied to the purchase price regardless of what property you purchase. So if you decide a different one is actually better for you, as long as you buy within 90 days, the hold fee will be applied to the purchase price. So that's number one. I always recommend holding the property if you're very interested in it. And then the second thing would be to schedule a call with me to go over your questions. If you are thinking about owner financing, to talk about what kind of payments would work for your budget. You can also just schedule a call with me if you're still not sure what property will work best for you and you'd like to just go over your general goals and what you're thinking. And we can talk about whether maybe any of our properties in our inventory will work, or if none of ours will, can go over some tips on how to think about buying land in general to make sure you make a purchase that really makes sense for you. Right. And again, if you did want to find all of the information on this property, so first I should say the 2 steps I always recommend if you're really interested in this property. Hold it. You can do that by clicking buy or hold here and going through the automated checkout process. And then 2, booking a call with me to go over your questions and owner financing. Now, if you did want to find more information on this property or any of our properties, you can go to land.gocap.com. The property we're looking at today is number 837 on New Moon Drive in Washington County. And quick note, this number is our internal numbering system, so you're not going to see it on the deed. If you did want to call the county and ask for more information, you can use this number here, which is the assessor's parcel number. But if you want to find it on our website, it's number 837. Right. The other thing I do want to mention is we also have a free land giveaway. We run this twice a year to get the word out about our company. And the next one is coming up on July 4th. We will give away the lowest value property in our inventory. We'll give it away live here on YouTube. So if you would like to be in the running for that, you can watch a quick 1-minute video on the giveaway and what you need to do to participate at freelandgiveaway.com. Or you could go to our YouTube homepage. It's at Gokce Capital on YouTube and scroll down to Freeland Giveaway Promotion. Right. Other than that, my partner and I are live every day at 5 p.m. Eastern. We do free property reviews. So if you're looking at lots of properties and there are a few that interest you, you could join any of our lives and we could take a look at them for free and let you know what we think. So all you have to do is join any live stream at 5 p.m. Eastern and leave your property in the chat. So otherwise, thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.